everybody, this is Kai from If You Know You Know, the show, and you are watching us right now.
Right. And JD, as always, I love how Kai has to give herself a countdown every time she starts. It's like one,
It's for editing.
two,
It's for editing
and
purposes.
I don't need that help. I'm
Professional
editing
here.
it. So, but
Okay.
anyway, but yes, good to see you, Kai. You look cute,
Thank you.
as always.
No.
Who's sitting next to you?
Yes, we have today the lovely Miss Janet.
Janet. Oh, tell us
What's
about
going on?
yourself. Who are you, Janet?
Oh. Hi, everybody. I'm Janet. I am a dancer. I'm a choreographer. I'm a pole dancer. And I'm a new mom.
Wow,
So,
congratulations.
Thank
Shout out to new mommy.
Oh,
Shout
and I
out
can
to
add
mommy.
sounds after, so
Yes.
sorry.
Shout
I'm
out to
discovering
all
new
the
things as we
things.
go.
Yes, and it is still Women's Month.
Right.
It's still March. We are still celebrating Women's Month. So we wanted to have an episode where we kind of get into a different topic of woman and motherhood and all those things. You know what I mean?
Because there's a lot of challenges now. There's a lot of pro-choice things happening. There's a lot of things that are happening. The women's movement is growing, and
Right.
it's one of those things. It's good to hear from powerful women like yourself.
And I'll be honest, I am not a mother.
Yeah.
However, I have always been conflicted in my adult life. I've been conflicted with this idea that you have to lose yourself when you become a mother. Like my mother and a lot of other women have told me, like, you it has to be all about your child, and you forget about you. It's about your child and your family, and that just always didn't sit right with me, and I felt like I was selfish.
But do you believe there's a little truth to that? I mentioned this to, and not to say it is. I'm just asking. But I mentioned this to Kai earlier, that I was watching a show, and they were talking about how the power of a woman has been lost a little bit, where the biggest, not to say the biggest, but the miracle that you guys can perform with making humans is like, I mean, that's, no one else can do that.
Right.
So the level of your power that you already have is, it's just something that's given. However, the way society is set up, it almost makes you feel like you have to compete with men to have a title, or I have to have this job. But you also, like, you can't just limit women to having babies. But what do you guys feel about, like, that responsibility of kind of being able to have kids? Do you feel like that's something that, it's a big responsibility? No one else can do that but you guys. Like, and if you guys don't want to, how do we continue? Right? What do you guys feel about that?
I got a lot to say about that.
Because again, we can't say just get in the kitchen and have these babies, but at the same time, it's like, where's the balance?
Well, first off, I had my child pretty later in my life. I'm not going to reveal my age just to keep it a...
21. You're 21. Yeah, you're 21.
Yeah,
21, always.
But I definitely chose to have children later in life, and it was exactly because of that reason. I think especially being in entertainment, we think well, it's a fact. Like, once you have a baby, you have to take a little bit of a break, because your body changes, and your commitments change, your energy changes, all of those things. It goes without saying that you do have to take a break. You're not going to be able to just get up and go on a plane real quick and do all those things. So that was my biggest fear. But then as I was getting older, I was like, well, you know what? Just biologically, I can't be waiting too much
How
longer. You know
stressful is
it's
that?
Very stressful.
That biological
stress. It
stress.
sucks. That part sucks.
You know, I just, I'm not going to reveal my age either. I just turned 23.
Yeah.
How you gonna say you're gonna reveal it and you say it? Like,
But I just started thinking about things that I've never thought about before.
Right.
Like, how many eggs do I have left?
Right.
And
freeze a couple just to be safe.
Just freeze, right? I would put them in a little Ziploc bag.
I
and
heard it's
just put 'em in-
expensive to do that, though.
I heard too, and then it's like, well, do I just rush and have children with the next available partner?
No,
Like,
never.
what's
That's never the
happening?
case. That's never the case.
But these are
it
thoughts.
has to be right. Yeah,
Right.
it has to be right. And I mean, I'm fortunate in that I've been in a really long relationship. I've been with. Do I look at the camera?
Yeah, or you can do wherever you want. Like,
look
obviously,
wherever,
this is
girl.
your third wall that you
Okay.
can look at since you're entertainment. But you're talking to us. But if you want to address everyone, look at the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
No.
That.
Plug.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be in an amazing relationship for the past 15 years, and we always knew we wanted to have children together, so it was just a matter of time. And he was so amazing in never pressuring me, never saying, well, you better hurry up and do it, or
Right.
we're
Tick,
time's
tick.
running out. Yeah, never ever did that. Always wanted me to feel confident about going forward with it.
Right.
Which I'm
That's
so thankful
important.
for.
Right. That is
It is
definitely
so
important.
And I think it was the perfect time. I really do. There's lots of things where I go, oh, if I was younger, maybe this, maybe that, but that doesn't matter anymore because that's the past, and
Right.
it just doesn't matter. What matters is now. And yes, I mean, I can speak on this more, but as
Speak on it!
in a nutshell, like, yes, your life changes so much and different things need to happen, but I can say without a doubt, a million times over, it's worth it.
Right.
And I would never change anything differently,
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like the for me, the number one thing that I think is the hardest after the postpartum segment is time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't have just, expendable time where you're like, today I'm just going to go do XYZ. I'm just going to go, get a massage in the middle of the day. You know what I mean? Or I'm going to go hang out with this friend. I'm saying that, but then I also want to set up that you can do that. You just have to Tetris it out.
Right, exactly. It's time. It's time management.
You gotta manage.
I'm the one that's suffering the most. But we did postpartum almost ruined our relationship.
Oh,
like
really?
we almost didn't even make it through.
Yeah.
Because she a lot like me. I grew up in the South. We don't really talk about our emotional issues.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of things that she buries, and so on postpartum on top of that, like she had no idea what was happening, but she was lashing out and doing different things, and I'm just like, but I don't, but baby, and so I got to a point where like we need to do something. If you're not doing something, then we can't work out. And so luckily, she responded to that, and we're doing great now.
I'm so happy to hear
that.
Right. So
it's a temporary phase, but it could really. I mean,
my friend was like, "You got to give it at least 2 years." I was like, "No,
that's scary.
Please, I can't make it. I can't
I
make it."
questions about it.
But I want to make because we did kind of skip around. Like, so I guess the main question was, do you feel like there is a responsibility for a woman to want to procreate or feel the void because it's part of population.
Yes,
growth.
I think it's personal, and I think it's really important for every woman to know that they don't have to. You know what I mean? They don't have to if they don't want to, and there's enough women in the world that want to. You know what I mean? So as far as a responsibility, I think any time, whether it's having a child, getting a certain job, getting into a certain relationship, doing an activity, anything in the world, anytime you're saying, "Oh, I should," you got to examine.
Right. Yeah. I guess you're right on that. Yeah.
Because if you're saying "I should," it's like, are you saying that to yourself, or are you saying it because someone else said you should?
Yeah.
Are you trying to convince yourself?
But shouldn't you kind of separate that first? Like, am I doing it because I want to?
Right.
Because there are things that you should do, but
it has
you're not
to be
forced
if you
to.
Want to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Should always come before should. Maybe you could say, "Oh, I should do this because I said I wanted to."
Right.
You know what I mean? I desired
right.
that in my life.
Right.
So
I agree.
if I want that, then okay, I should be thinking about what are the steps to getting pregnant if that's something I want.
Yeah.
Not, oh, I should get married because everybody else is getting married and my mom said I gotta get married.
God, I hate that.
I'm not
I hate
married,
that.
by the way. So
Right. Which we'll get into that
next.
next.
Right.
So even with that, like I'll use myself as an example. I want to have children. But then even that, like because I want to, I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little older, so maybe I should. But then it's like, what circumstances do I want to have my children under? I can go the sperm donor route? I thought
it'll
about
never
that
be
at one
perfect,
point.
to be honest.
Right,
like,
it will never.
Yeah, it would, so I was like, oh, maybe I can do that. But then it's like,
I just sneeze.
COVID. And that's going to do it for today, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining us here on If You Know, You Know the Show.
So I thought, okay, well, maybe I could do
I don't
that
have a
route.
tissue to give you, but if you need it, I don't know.
Yeah, it was the air one.
But then it's like, what circumstances do I want to have the children under? So
it'll
for me,
feel right.
It's been important but even with that, it's been important to make sure I understand what I want in a relationship, what I want, who I want in a partner, what attributes I want in someone that would make the circumstances for having a child good for me.
So I thought about that a little too late. Like I was in the moment. Like I was in the tonsils and it was just a good moment and it was just like release. Yeah. But like she had a friend who said they were going to have kids together and she asked me and I was like, let's do it. But I didn't really go too far into breaking down the character traits and, who I want to have kids with. Like, I respect her as a woman and, and everything that she is. But there was a lot of emotional things that I realized after, like, I don't want to force her to work on these things, but I also don't want her to be toxic around our kids.
Of course.
And these are things that I spoke to her about. And that's why she also kind of started, working on herself as well as I'm working on myself. And I thought about that a little too late. But is that really that critical? Or is it more about love?
To being a mother?
To being having kids, period. Like,
with
is it
someone?
Yeah, like I feel so blessed that we really were on the same page. It was so powerful. I don't know if it was just the sex, but I literally felt the little human being made. Like I felt my soul, like like it was one of those, right? Like literally, and I literally felt like. That's the one. Yeah. Like that's the one. And it was. And it was like I really felt like I felt the creation. I felt it through love. Like, and it felt like we created something out of love. We were both on the same page. And it felt beautiful for that reason. And because it came from love. You know what I mean?
We get it, JD.
Sorry.
We get it.
Sorry.
It's a big moment.
I know it is. And so anyway. So
but, is it enough?
Yeah, is it? I think it is. It's just, obviously when it comes to how you raise them and their temperament, because they learn probably 90% more of what they see than what you tell them.
Yes.
So you can be telling them 90% of the time what you want them to hear, but they're going to repeat what you're doing. And so trying to get her to understand that sometimes, like when she's, having her moments or she's yelling for no reason. She's Latin, by the way. She's a Salvadorian, and she's, what's your sign? Pisces.
She's Pisces.
So there are moments where it's like, wow.
Yes,
so
as we have.
Right.
And shout out to the men that put up with it.
Right. And kids see that, and they learn to react that way. They learn to love that way, and they learn to be attracted to women like that.
Which leads to a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ms. Janet. What are you more mindful of now that you maybe weren't prior to having Kiko? Little Kiko. Has he made you become more aware of something of your own patterns, or
Yes.
I love the name Kiko, by the way.
What do I recognize now that I haven't recognized before?
Yeah, or what has he brought to your self-awareness? What has he made you self-aware of in your own life?
Definitely not to sweat the small stuff anymore, because when you see a child and you see that their life is all up to you,
right.
and all up to your love and everything that you do for them, provide for them, demonstrate for them, and when their well-being and health is dependent on you, nothing else matters. You know what I mean? Really, and you
True,
get this, and it's something you won't get until you have a child.
Right.
You see other people's kids, you're like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Right.
But until it's your blood, you don't realize it. But yeah, things don't matter. Anything goes wrong with him, he's first priority. Period. Everything else can wait.
Right.
And also just in the grand scheme of things, other things aren't as much a priority as far as what you do in your daily activities. Maybe it was so important for me to go do this social activity, which, don't get me wrong, that social activities are very important.
Still got to go out and turn up.
Still got to go out. Yeah, I'm a Gemini, so I'm very social. And but you pick and choose. You start getting real choosy which makes them more special, because then they're rare,
right.
So they're more quality over quantity.
And that's exactly where I am, because that's what I was saying. I'm a family man now.
Yeah.
Like my instincts are not like, oh, I'm gonna go out. It's like I kind of want to kick it with the family right now. Like, maybe I'll go out tomorrow. Yeah.
And before you have a kid, you think that seems like, oh, that might be boring. I don't want to just stay home and do all that.
Right.
But then when it's your own, you're like, no, it's fun. I could sit there and watch him do flashcards and name things, and it's like party time for me.
So this is my second one. I have an older one, but but the relationship was estranged. So I didn't really
gotcha.
Me and her mom. We had our issues. She was like, you can't see her. So I had to literally take her to court to see my child.
Wow.
And then it was just a lot of off. We're just off. We have a great relationship, but it definitely wasn't what I wanted it to be coming up. But now we're great friends.
Good.
But did you have that moment where you realize that you are teaching this little human how to be? Right, and you can understand why people are kind of screwed up, because nobody taught them how to be, and it's easy to get caught up in the fact that don't do that or you shouldn't do that, and it's they don't know.
Well, what do I do?
Yeah, they have no idea. You have to tell them, you kind of you want them to just know that they
Right.
shouldn't put
But
this
they
in their
don't.
mouth, but
Yeah.
they don't.
They don't know how to
They don't.
sleep.
Right.
You have to teach them how to sleep.
Right.
Literally.
I always
Yeah,
use
teach
the
them how to sleep.
analogy when because when they get tired, like, and they're just like, it's like when you're tired, but you don't know what's happening. You're just like,
Yeah.
wait, no, I want to play more. No,
Yes,
no,
exactly.
like,
Why
and they
is
have
this
no
happening?
idea.
Painful.
Right. And
Yeah.
like, just
You
imagine
teach
being
them,
in
you just
class
set it
when
up.
you're trying to stay
Yeah.
awake, but you don't know what's happening. So it's like terrifying.
Yeah. And you know what? You know
So-
what's funny for me? Now that I'm a little older, I'm looking forward to all that stuff.
Mhm.
You know, I think, and that's for me a sign that I'm ready to have children. I feel
Yeah.
ready, because when I maybe a couple years ago, I was like,
Like,
no,
I got time for that.
I wanna get- I wanna-
Totally.
Right.
You know, but
Same.
I think especially living in LA, not
Yeah.
having family out here, experiencing the holidays by myself.
Yeah.
Every like holiday or like a Sunday afternoon, they all kind of lose like their meaning when it's just about you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
Yes.
wasn't until maybe maybe 2 years ago that I had this feeling of like it was like maybe a Saturday afternoon, and
Right.
I used to live across the street from a park,
Right.
and I would go out there and I would just sit and I would just like sit in the sun and like watch the sunset, and then I watched like all these families having like playing playing soccer, or
Yeah.
playing football, and like
Don't be getting
doing
babysitted
their
for no
thing.
reason.
I
Like, you
know,
really
no.
gotta want,
You
like,
really, and I for the first
you gonna
time-
jump in it and be like, yeah.
for the first time, I was like, wow, it reminded me of when I was a kid, and
Mhm.
I would go out with my family, and we would go to the park, and I remember how
Yeah.
big of a deal it was to go to the park with my parents and to go do things. Like, we used to play
Right.
mini golf every Sunday.
Right.
And all these little traditions that I had kind of lost as I got older.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I can't wait
To do it
to
again.
do it again, and to experience life through these whole new eyes.
Well, yeah, well, you're
And you
showing them
rediscover
the
the
world.
world.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
showing them the
You
world.
You're gonna
rediscover
love it.
the world and
Me
the
too.
holidays and stuff.
Yeah, but like I
through
was
these new
teasing
eyes.
you with relationships, because I was teasing her, like, because I was telling her some women date because of the things and not
Exactly.
because of the relationship. And I
Right.
was like, be
Very
careful with
true.
that with babies too. Don't do it because of the things,
Right.
and make sure you really want to.
I don't think
because
so though. I see in your eyes.
right, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you
You know?
do. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
you never know.
But I will admit, when I was younger, I felt like I had to do that because that was the right thing to do.
Of
I,
Right.
I felt a lot of
That's
pressure.
hot to us. It's
Yeah.
I
hot
felt
to
the
us.
timeline of
Mhm,
pressure of people in my family,
Right.
society, to be like, hey girl, figure it out.
mhm.
Right.
And I felt like, oh yeah, I want to have kids, but it never really I never felt it, you know?
Right.
And like I said, it wasn't until maybe about 2 years that I was like, no, I think I'm ready for the sleepless nights. I think I'm
Yeah.
ready for, because I don't know exactly what goes into
Yeah.
it, but I've been around it and been around children enough to know that it's a journey.
Yeah,
journey.
and you don't have to have
And
sleepless
there's
nights, by the way.
phases.
Yeah.
My son sleep through the night, but you just have to be able to let them cry a little bit, right? Like,
Right,
it just
but even
it takes
all of
at least
that,
1 or
like,
2 nights.
baby stuff. Like, I don't,
Right.
guys, when I get pregnant, I don't even know. I don't know what
No, I didn't either. I knew
Right.
nothing. I was like, what? I don't know.
Right.
Changing
What? How do I do
thing,
that?
what?
Right.
Lit- burp cloth. Like,
Right.
no, you know nothing. But why would we if we were not, like, immersed in that? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
like I didn't
Why
know how to
would
hold
we?
a baby at first.
Me
Right.
neither. I was like, you know, I was like a
Right.
mess. But it's so crazy. It's like you adapt and you learn,
Yeah.
and then you're a pro, you know,
Right.
because it's yours.
Yeah.
And you have to.
Right.
And you love it. And
Right.
because you love it, you do whatever it takes to learn.
If you know the show. Tune in. Join the conversation.
Based on what you do,
Mm-hmm.
how do you find the balance, or is it challenging to kind of be a dancer or a pole dancer
Mm-hmm.
and have kids and still be a wife? And how do you maintain that balance and keep your respect, even though people will judge you and
Totally.
like, hey, see that, and like, how do you manage that?
Well, number one, I don't care.
That's a good place. That's a good place to
And
start.
I gotta admit, I have gotten nothing, which I'm so thankful for. And I don't know if it's just the people around me or the stage of life I'm in, but I've gotten nothing but pretty much love.
Yeah. I
you
think the
know,
world is
from
opening up a lot a bit too. Yeah,
It may have been different back in
I'm
the day.
older, so
And maybe I would have been different back in the day, you know,
Right.
if we were in a different decade.
we're in a
But-
different state.
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
Right.
That's very true. And
Right.
I think what it is to me, I see so much positivity in being sex positive
Right.
and being, you know, pretty open about what I do and what I post online. And I'm just trying to share that women can hold on to their their sensuality and their sexuality and what it is they love to do and their athleticism and still be a mom. You can do it. You may not be able to do it every day. You could, you know, but you gotta like, you gotta Tetris those hours out. You know, you gotta make. If I always believe, if there's something you really want to do, you'll do whatever it takes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You'll make excuses to do it.
I've really not gotten. That was bad grammar. I haven't gotten any pushback or you know, negative response to what I do and being a mom. And I think because there's so many other people who do it as well. And I've kind of followed in those footsteps to be like, yeah, it's okay, you know?
Your career started as a professional dancer, correct?
Yeah.
And how long ago did you discover pole dancing and why?
Yeah, so I've been a dancer my entire life since I was 4. That was like my breath of life, you know, like ever since my mom put me in recreational dance. Then I went to a studio, just die hard, you know. I was at the studio all the time. I did the whole competition thing, and then did it in high school, and then in college joined a crew, or joined my, you know, the college crew with the Filipino club at my college, and then that led into all kinds of things. Cabo Modern, shout out.
Hey, shout out Cabo Modern. ABDC season 1.
I know.
I remember.
I was like way before ABDC was even like a speck of an idea, which is crazy. Like Jabberwockies, shout out. Like we used to do all the same shows.
Oh, nice.
Those were boys, and
I love the Jabberwockies.
Yeah, like when we were just doing like showcases and stuff. You know? And then after I graduated college, I created my own company called Funkonometry. Shout out Funkonometry.
Shout out Funkonometry. Do you have a website or Instagram?
It's kind of done. Yeah, as far as like, that's a whole nother.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to drop one, promote you.
That's okay. Thank you. Yeah, that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no,
you were 2 years old. You were 2 years old.
You're giving too many hits. You're giving too many hits. You're giving too many hits.
He was an accomplished 2-year-old.
Fact checkers. Find out how old she is.
And then, so yeah, dancing, blah, blah, blah. And then I started pole dancing in 2017. So not that long ago.
Yeah. And why? What was it?
Why? Not always. I mean, I'd never even been to a strip club before.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I ever had been, but I saw it somehow.
So you've never actually danced at a strip club?
No.
It's just pole dancing, because there's a difference.
Yeah.
I technically don't really know how it works, so I'm sure most people don't.
But I don't want to separate it too much, because it did start with strippers, and I highly respect them, and I want to make sure that people understand that it's okay to associate, you know, different types of pole dancing with strippers, because everyone's still dancing
dancers,
on a pole,
strippers,
you know what I mean?
not correct.
There's different there's different styles of pole dance, you know. There's like straight up athletic, where it's like you would see it at the Olympics, maybe, you know, or
that would be a dope Olympic thing.
It's beautiful.
And I'm not just saying that as a man.
No,
I actually don't even really. I don't even like to go to like gentlemen's clubs. I always feel I don't like to say stripper, but it was like dancers, like
exotic dancer.
Yeah, exotic dancer.
But it's not a derogatory label.
It's big. Like men are shamed for everything, so I feel like anytime I've said that, it's like I'm a dancer.
Right.
Like, okay, sorry.
It's different people like to call different things.
But you're comfortable in who you are, and again, you don't care, and that's why it's comfortable. But most people feel judged all the time.
Sure, and I think I wouldn't do it if I did feel judged.
Right.
You know what I mean?
As you should, right.
But also being more mature in this part of my life, I think it's different. You know what I mean? Because I was actually no one believes me, but I was really shy, like growing up as a kid. And
kid. I'm kidding. I'm teasing. I know the feeling.
And I couldn't talk to boys in high school. Like that was like my biggest fear. I didn't go to my but I didn't go to my senior prom, because I think I gave off the vibes that I was like I did have a dance competition that day, but I blamed it on that. Like, I have a dance competition.
Because if you wanted to do it, you would have done it.
Where did the sensuality come from? Like that has to come from somewhere. Right?
I think we
Janet
always
Jackson,
have it. No, I think as women we always have it. I do think it's innate, and I think it's just about giving ourselves the permission. You know, giving ourselves, not someone else giving it to us. Maybe be inspired by somebody else, but giving ourselves the permission to be like, hey, you know, it's okay that I express this. I'm not hurting nobody. You know what I mean? First of all, you know, and it's really important, because I think it is something that adds to our confidence. You know, you can't deny that being desired and being appreciated for who you are in all of your glory not an amazing thing.
It is.
Right.
And everybody
Yeah.
should experience
And men
that.
as well. Like, you know, we always get
Every
judged for,
human
oh,
being.
yeah, arrogant.
Right,
Yeah.
no, men
Like,
should
no,
feel
like,
sexy too.
I want to walk in
Yeah.
the room and feel like, hey, everybody in here want me. Like,
Right.
so, like,
It's part
it's
of-
mental.
It's good ego.
Right.
Yes,
It's good
part of
ego.
being-
It's
it's
good a
part of
little
human
good
experience.
narcissism. I heard this somewhere. We all have a certain level of narcissism, and narcissism is what helps us move forward in life.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you
And rest.
actually were one of the first dancers that I felt that I truly believe. Like when she dances, like it's so
insane.
sensual, but
Yeah.
it's like confident, and it's not like I'm trying to
Yes.
seduce you, but it's like I know you're watching, right? And I
Mm.
like that because that's kind of how. Ooh, time. Well, go ahead.
Where does sensuality come from? I honestly think it's within us naturally. I really do. 'Cause
That's not a
what-
good answer
No, I know,
though.
well,
Like
it's gonna-
not every
I'll
woman know how to
lead
get to
into it.
that.
But
True,
how did you start
Discover.
tapping into
Yeah,
it?
how did
yeah.
you
Tapping into
discover?
it.
Yeah.
That's
How
a
did you
good way to
discover
say
your
it.
sensuality?
Here's the thing. I think I've always been in touch with it as a dancer, but what's funny is I was actually, because of being a woman, I wanted to be a tomboy. I wanted to be tough, so I actually got into breaking.
Right.
And I was training in breaking in like my college years, and I just really wanted to be more, you know, tough and cool and, you know, not so girly. I didn't want to really be so girly and frilly and all that stuff. I thought it was more admirable for me to be more of that energy, you know, and more of the masculine energy. But I do also think that was also a little bit of a cover up, because maybe I wasn't so confident in my body, because I did have some body issues like during high school, as many of us women do, because of what, you know, we're taught and everything. And I was a ballet dancer and, you know, all this kind of stuff.
Did you hang out with a lot of guys? Sounds like
I did hang out with, I have a lot of guy friends. Yeah,
and I think that helps, because I think you did that as well. And kind of like, I think you can choose to do like the girly route, or you can be open to everything. And I think those people usually turn out a little bit more naturally sexy because they're comfortable in who they are. They also hang with men, so they know what men like in a sense.
That was a big thing.
And they're not trying to be this prissy. Like you can have I don't want to say masculine, but a confidence that doesn't have to be submissive.
Right.
And I think a lot of women have that submissive. You can have me if you want to take me.
Well, because that's what we're
but
taught.
you got to be
that's
exactly.
what we're taught. You know,
And
I think for me it was I have an older brother. Shout out to Chris.
Shout out Chris.
Jenna met Chris too. I know Chris. Shout out to
Thank
my
you for
brother.
your service. Be safe out there.
But so in all of that, I grew up very tomboy. I was very into sports. My dad. I was also daddy's little girl. I was always playing sports.
We know.
We went to like you know, we had season tickets to baseball games, and when we would have family gatherings, I would be outside playing with the guys and not inside. I hated talking, gossiping, cooking. I hated all of that. Like, it was just not me.
Same.
So when I started dancing, naturally, I started going into more of like the hip hop realm, or I was gliding. I was doing all types of this style called flexing. I was in a crew with all guys and just me and another woman. And it was like always very like aggressive, and I was in the battling, and I was like, yeah, in your face. Also growing up in New York, same thing, very aggressive energy. And it wasn't until I remember as a kid, I asked my mom, I was like, hey, you know, I feel like boys don't like me. I remember asking her this. I was like, I feel like boys don't like me. And my mom was like, well, you know, sometimes you kind of just got to like let them win. I forgot. I don't think that's what she said. But something along those lines.
Like, don't try to outdo them.
Like don't try to like outdo them all the time.
You do kind of turn into the homie.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, okay. So I started kind of like letting them help me. You know what I mean? And not doing everything all the time.
The tricks. The beguiling tricks.
And you know, and even coming up in school, I was like, oh, I didn't know if boys liked me and stuff. And I would find out. It would be such a surprise because, again, I was taught that there was girls that were very girly, that dressed very tight clothing and were very revealing. And that I was like, oh, all the boys like them. And I just was wearing baggy pants and like t-shirts.
But
and
I think early on that is true. Like early on, I mean, we're even more shallow. So we're really just trying to figure out our sexualities too. So it's still kind of like, ooh.
Right.
And then like, you know, Kai's standing next to us in sweats and you're like, shut up.
Right.
Anyway,
but you know what? I will say that I agree with you in that sense, because as I got older, being in a space with a lot of boys and a lot of men, I did see what they liked, and I did see how they treated certain girls, and how silly some girls looked trying to be like
Trying
this
to do the
choose me.
extra.
They were like these choose me girls that were like trying to be princesses and like just like having the guys do everything for them, whatever.
The cheat code is hanging with the opposite sex. Like, I had 2 older sisters, so every time something went wrong, they'd be like, now when you get a girlfriend, you don't do that.
Right.
So I learned that, but I also would hang out with girls, like, non-sexually. Like, I would just be one of the girls. Hey, like, because it was fun. And I would learn about them. I love watching chick flicks alone. I don't really like to watch them with girls. But you learn about what they like and kind of how they think, and just, you get options.
And also
everybody's
how you
different.
fit in there. Right. How you fit in there too. I know for myself, I realize that I am a little aggressive, and I can't I need a partner that is also going to understand that and be strong. And his very masculine. I think
you ain't aggressive. I think you're emotional. You just your
I
moods
can
be like your moods be.
I am emotional, but I can be very aggressive in the sense of like. But I feel like when a man is in his masculine energy and a man can like really assert himself, then it allows me to kind of.
You has to be confident
because for me, the first man that in my life who was able to do that exactly what you did.
Because you have to be confident because Kai can go from hi to and if you're like what's wrong, like you're done, right? You're done. You have to be able to say, look, go your ass in there and figure out what's wrong with you. I'm gonna be out here, and if you can't, then it's gonna be like you too weak. Stop it. Why you always gotta act like? And then you're in that fight.
Yeah, like exactly what you're saying. He was the first person I met that was able to I don't want to say just only put up with me, but able to be that, like, he's also 8 years older than me, which I like, you know, and so he was able to court me and do all the sweet things and all this stuff, but when I started acting crazy,
snap you back.
Snap me back.
And I want to correct that. It's not putting up with you. It's understanding you.
Yes.
Because like you should never put up with anybody.
No,
like a lot of women say you can't put up with me, you can't handle me.
True.
But no, I just understand that like you may actually like with Anna like she'll flip out, and I can understand. She just don't know. She don't understand. She feeling something.
You need to be
patient. I need to help her. I need to have some alone time with her. Either way, I know this is coming from somewhere.
We're all messed up in some way,
right?
And so, I think when we can have patience and women, with one another, and but also be firm, like no, this is what it needs to be.
Firm boundaries.
It's that boundary.
Right. We may have time for like one more. Do you have anything else? Because I have another big one that's going on right now. Is abortion. How do you guys feel about abortion? I'll start because I'm gonna preface,
how do you feel
because
about
I don't have an opinion. I can't tell anybody what to do with their body. I believe in pro-choice, but I also have the feeling of like if you're just continuing to have abortions, like where is the cutoff?
You know what? There's always a thing. That's always people always find that one thing, like the one exception to the rule. You know what I mean? I think it's hard to umbrella. Abortion is very broad because on the same token you could say, well, what if you get raped? Can you not have an abortion? There's always that one rule. Yeah, but then there's always that one rule. Or like if you keep I don't think that I'm not going to speak for every woman. I can imagine that going through the decision to have an abortion is a very traumatic experience that I'm not sure that every woman's going to be doing that more than it's not like going to the restaurant to the grocery store, like you know what I mean. You're not going to just keep doing it.
I've talked to some that are just a little bit like morning after pill,
and some morning after pill is a little different than going through a whole abortion. There's a whole
that is true.
Morning after pill is like, hey, whatever, you know what I mean. So I'll since I'm speaking now, I'll just say, I think
sorry, it's a tough one. She'd like to stay away from the racy ones.
Who, me?
Yeah, I like to go in. I'm like, that's how I feel.
Because in this situation, I feel like it's very personal.
Yeah,
it's very personal, and it should be in the decision of the woman. It's our body. It should be, just like I feel like we should have either free like tampons and pads and stuff, because that's something that men don't have to deal with. I definitely think y'all need
more maternity leave. Like y'all should have at least 2 years, like 2 years at least.
There's so many things that we go through that men don't go through, and it's not even like trying to get an easy thing.
No, I get you.
It's like legit. So we can't help that our bodies once a month for a week.
Of course.
Bleed.
Yeah, of course.
It's but we have to pay to be able to not just be out here in these streets.
Yeah, but that's just America. That's like paying for insurance and education.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's tough, but I hear you, and I agree with you.
So I think abortion, that's a very personal...
Pro-choice as well, right?
Yeah, pro-choice. Yeah, okay. I don't think anyone, much less men, should be telling
that's why I have to tiptoe, because I'm like, I know I can't tell nobody what to do.
No, yeah, even other women, you can't. You don't know. You don't know the situation.
What about you, Janet?
Definitely pro-choice.
Right.
You know,
I don't think I would ever hear a woman say, "No, take away our right to."
But I think there's layers to it, and I think there's I do also believe that if you're continuing to choose to get pregnant, there's a deeper issue there.
That's all I'm saying.
Right.
That's my only point.
And I know, you're in line with that. It's that you got to be responsible.
Exactly.
You got to be responsible. Right. You know what I mean? Do your thing, have your fun, use protection, and don't just depend on that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's not a form of birth control either.
Right. Exactly. But I do think there needs to be maybe more education in that, and in teaching young girls, about responsibility. Right. Of course, I'm pro-choice. Of course, and
I think I'm pro-choice
everybody.
everything.
I can't imagine, someone who's a rape victim, and having to make a young girl, and having to make those kinds of decisions. And, but I also really feel that we choose every action that we do for the most part, unless you're forced into a situation, Right. But if you are choosing to go into a situation, you got to know, like, well, this is what happens next, you know? So if you are choosing that, then you got to, be prepared for that responsibility. And if you're not okay with that, then maybe make different choices.
Right. And I definitely agree.
That's why I just want to preference before, because I'm speaking from a make everyone happy. Like, everybody's going to have different opinions. So I'm thinking about as a state, as a country, like, where's the happy medium, right? There are people who really kind of, that really feel for people who have abortions, right? I love the babies, don't hurt the babies. Like, there are those people. Yeah. So you do have to think about that feeling and who believes that, men, women. And then you have to have, you can't force someone to do something. So I'm thinking just happy medium is like, obviously,
can you mute that,
I'm so
please?
sorry. It's pro-choice, but there is a line, because there are people who care about, like, it just feels like you got to be responsible at some point.
Yeah, I think judging off of what Janet was saying, or not judging, adding on to what Janet was saying, I think if it's a matter of education, I think a lot of things could be handled better if we have education on it. So putting that education in the schools or wherever, as far as your responsibilities of having, when you have sex education, that should be something in there.
Right.
And discuss it. I don't know if they talk about abortion. And you know what I mean? And what the real responsibilities of having a child are. Right. And I do feel like if it starts to become, because places keep records of these things, if you're having 2 or 3 abortions, maybe that's a space in which now a mental health professional can come in.
That's where I say 3 and out. That was my fix.
No, you know what I mean? Like, if somebody can come in and actually speak to you and, like, really, talk about this. Because ultimately, I do feel like it should be your choice, but maybe some people, they're just not mentally prepared. Exactly. Advice. What advice would you leave any women out there that are questioning being mothers and maintaining who they are as women?
I'm so glad you asked that, because that's really kind of like what I meditate on all the time. It's about identity. And I was so scared of losing my identity. But you can do it all. You can do, if having a baby is something that you really want to do, you will find a way to hold on to your identity. And I think it's really important that you don't just succumb into, well, now I'm a mom and this is what I do and I wear this all day and I don't ever, do myself up and da-da. And let me just say, like, there was a period of time where I did not have a haircut and I did not do makeup ever. It was also the pandemic, It was also like during, COVID times, but it is possible, it is possible. And just granted, I'm not doing even all the things that I want. I'm not saying my life is amazing and I have a baby and I have, everything that I want right now. No way,
Right.
Like, there's sacrifices that you have to make, but there's also things that I want to continue to work towards. And it's about the little bits that you can do in your day, like maximizing the time, whether that be self-care or towards a project you're working on or your goals or your relationships. So important to like definitely devote time to and I'm sure you know this, like to parents only time. I'm human.
Yeah, I know you are. You are.
Guys, remember to follow us, IYKYK_the show on all social media platforms. Make sure to stream us everywhere you podcast. Catch us on YouTube, Facebook, all over the place, video-wise, too. And thank you guys for continuing to support us on our Venmo at IYKYK_the show. Please feel free to support if you haven't already. All of the proceeds, anything that we get goes to our renting of our space and anything that we need for the show. So we thank you guys for supporting us and thank you for continuing to do so.